Hey fellas, my name is Tom. I am the Buzz Tone. I'm here along with my wife, and today we're going to look at this Bassman as well as some pickup stuff, and I'll give you an update on the Super Strat project, which we will be doing a video on next Saturday. I'm quite certain we'll get it all done. So I just wanted to give an update where we're at and what we're doing. First, the mighty Bassman. And I will make a video independently of what's going to happen with this. This is a 1967, okay? And it's all stock. It's pretty good. Now, someone did go through and do the caps, okay? And I made sure this is completely discharged. It's not plugged in or anything. So, but this is and I'm a Marshall guy, guys. So please understand, it's not, if you work on a Chevy, you can still work on a Ford kind of thing. So these aren't complex. I'm just a Marshall guy. So I had to do a little research on these things. And basically, it's just here to get tuned up. And apparently, there's a phase inverter deal. So Fender does good about the nomenclature of their circuits. The last two digits are the year, right? So this is a AB 165 circuit, which means it was the year 1965. Apparently the hot ticket is the AA864, the 64 circuit, in certain regards. And there's some small differences, but the biggest one is right here in the phase inverter section. This cluster of weirdness is going to go. And all in the effort of giving it a chance to have good tone, okay? So this is going to go and then do a normalized black phase inverter section. This has the balance pot, and really, I was under the impression that was all 69 and above, because the 68s with the black line are still the AB763 circuit. But these Bassmans in 65 switched over to this balanced circuit, and this is really the first I've encountered this, to be honest with you. The other Fenders that I'd worked on, like my friend Tim's 1964 Super Reverb, and some others, they have the normal fixed bias adjustment. Now, they call it fixed bias. I'm going to give my own interpretation of that. Is that the bias is set to a fixed value. And basically, you're just controlling the milliamps of the tubes at idle. And really, you're just trying to prevent a lot of crossover distortion. Where this, although it looks kind of the same, has a pot here and some resistors hanging on it, right? When I went to adjust it, it is a balance pot. So, interesting enough, doing the calculations, I thought, hey, it needs this many milliamps. I go to tweak the pot, and it balances the milliamps between the two power tubes, one here and one here. So it balances those, but it doesn't increase or decrease the milliamps. So it's kind of a neat thing in one way, that you can use unmatched tubes, is my impression. But now you need to have a way to increase or decrease that bias voltage to increase or decrease the milliamps needed to set the bias properly. So that's my interpretation of this. It is what it is, right? So when I did the calculations, I should be around 40 milliamps, actually a little more like 42, but I thought 40 would be good. But this bias balance, putting these tubes in, is only 20 milliamps, right? So, well, that's a problem. I need 20 more, technically. So I did research, and there is a way that you can add another pot in line with a resistor that'll actually increase your milliamp, or basically your bias voltage, to give you more or less milliamps, but also use the balance feature. So I kind of like to try that out because I like the idea of balancing those tubes, as well as elevating or decreasing the amount of voltage necessary to get the tube in the best operating range, right? So those are things that are going to happen. And then we're going to use this amp for the project Strat, the 65. Copy Strat. Let's just call it the Copy Strat, right? Instead of Copycat, right?
That's good.
Yeah. So my wife's in the background. I'll get her up here so she can talk to me. So that way, because I need somebody to talk to when I'm doing this stuff, because I don't know what I'm doing, right? We just did a video about aircraft timing. If you ever want to time your B-17 radio engine, just let me know. I have all the stuff to do it. Okay, we just got our B-17 out of the hangar yesterday. So we thought we better check the timing on number 3 engines, magnetos. A little sputtering there. So we got a way to dial all that in. Okay, so what we're going to do. So we're going to do this. I'm going to change these resistors just because, Fender mounts their amps like this so that the tubes are on the bottom. So all that heat rises, right? So having resistors that straddle over the socket just seems kind of sketchy. And plus, these have drifted pretty far. Now, I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not against values of the drifting, because the reason old amps sound the way they do is because of the values that have drifted. So when a guy, there's those out there that build replicas or their version of, say, this style amp, say they're going to build a Bassman from scratch. Well, what they'll end up with is a brand new Bassman the way it sounded in 1967. It won't sound the same as a 67 Bassman that's been on Earth this long, because those components haven't had an opportunity to drift yet. So I don't really change the resistors when they're really out of spec, because all of that, those slight subtle changes, they make the amp do its thing. They are why some amps sound good and some may not sound so good. So I've already went through it and checked, like the 100K resistors. They're your plate resistors, these guys here. And there's one here, and there's another one. So, and they're not 100K. Plus, these are, this style, these Allen Bradleys, their tolerance is pretty wide, right? But that's okay. That's why they can sound a little different. But when those components drift, normally they increase in value. So, that being said, a good way to revoice an amp is to change the plate voltages. So this kind of does that. So we'll see where it's at when it's all said and done. But some guys will change these right off the bat. You know what? If they're not burnt through, leave all this stuff to me. This is just my opinion. I leave all this stuff alone because I want the voice to have the amp to have its character, right? It makes sense? Yeah. I don't want to have a brand new 1967 Bassman when it's done. I want it to have its naturally over time voice, but have the needed maintenance done. So the other thing, here's the hot ticket stuff. And I'm going to show you guys, when this is done, I'm going to get a dry erase board in here, and then I'll show you what I'm doing, because some channels will just dangle the carrot. Oh, I'm not going to, they'll put a little mask it or hide stuff, So none of this is top secret, right? I mean, this is technology that's been around as long as the incandescent light bulb. I'm going to tell you guys this. Of all the rambling I do, please know there is nothing new in the tube amp world. It's just like your car, right? You got to have those bare essentials. You need to have 4 tires, a steering wheel, a brake, and a gas pedal. Minimal, right? Well, every amp has those minimals that have to be there. They may have switching. They may have all this other crazy stuff added onto it, but the essentials are always the same. So in today's world, it seems to be very common for those to repackage what was done and deliver it as if it was brand new today. It's not brand new today. It's just reincarnated. But, it's funny to me. It actually drives me nuts, to be honest with you. But there's no reason to hide anything. Plus, if you guys want to get into this, which I hope people do, if you show you the dangers, that's the stuff to stay away from, right? Interesting point on these amps. So, and I'll show you this when we do the bias, and after I change all this stuff out. I don't know if you guys want to see all that stuff or not. There's tons of videos of you see guys soldering and unsoldering. Yeah. It's not very exciting. So I'd rather take you on a motorcycle ride. So I actually thought about that. I'm sidetracking already, but the gentleman in Sweden, I'll get his name wrong, but I think it's Johan, and he'll have split screens. He'll be doing one thing, but he'll show a smokestack or ocean or something on the other side. We might do that. I'll take you all on a Harley ride through the area, but also on the other side of the screen, show this stuff. Interesting point right here. These wires are separated but joined. This is a great place to take your voltage reading. And I've seen Fender amps come in here and some previous guy will put them together. It's like, why do you do that? I like having this separation. I can just clip an alligator clip right there to read. And we'll do all this stuff, right? So going through the things I'm going to change is this cluster gaggle here. We're going to make it like every other AB763 circuit. And we are going to take, supposedly this is the ticket, is to get rid of this guy because it really enhances the bass more than the bass needs to be enhanced. And take this guy, the snubber resistor, or I'm sorry, capacitor, and put it over here on this channel, and then just remove this one. That's all that's going to happen down here, ideally. What else are we going to do? Whoever did the caps, they did okay, but I don't like how they're just sitting on top of the solder rather than cleaning out the board, putting the tab under. To me, it's good to have a mechanical connection first before you solder, right? Well, these are just laying on top. And it's not this huge. And you're not going to look at this every day, but it still bugs me. So I'll probably go through, and there's a tab sticking out. They just laid them on top. You see those?
Oh, yeah.
Those leads? I don't like that lead dress. And it's not critical. It's just, it's not the way I would do it. And the critical stuff is over here too for the amp's lifeline. This is like the blood pressure, so to say, your bias circuit. So I'll probably go through that and make sure everything else is cool. But the rest of the caps have been replaced, and it's cool. It all looks good. What else? I think that's about it. To recap, 2 resistors are going to get changed, two on each power tube socket. We might do something with this, ideally. I mean, I'm not going to call the UL police, right? But that's supposed to, that should be the longest wire in the amp. And there's a reason being, if this amp would fall off and this cord would get pulled out of its strain relief, the other wires will break loose. This one will still remain grounded, which will then cause the circuit to short and hopefully trip a breaker rather than the end user getting the shock. Okay, so that's the dealio there. Where in the world did that go? Okay. So we may do that. I know guys pout about these wires not being directly soldered to the chassis, and we're not going to turn this into just a bitch about a theater. It's just, it's all cool, man. Everybody does their thing. So this was good enough then, but I might solder them right to chassis, things like that. This amp does have the center tap to ground for the heater circuit. So a lot of the other Fenders don't have that, but they have 200 ohm resistors coming here to ground, and that works. That's kind of balancing out. Some say it's better than the center tap. Who knows, right? I mean, it's been working since 1967, so I don't think there's a need to change that. Other than that, we're just going to clean it. Make sure the pots, we got that deoxid stuff, works real good. Make sure everything's clean and lubricated. And like I said, we're going to use this then to demonstrate or compare the 2 Fenders. So I got a question for you guys. And Ryan, thanks so much for your comment. And I really appreciate it. I'm a little slow at getting back on things, but it's that time of year, right? We mow grass, ride motorcycles, and have a good time. But I very much got a chuckle out of your comment. And so thanks so much, man, for putting it there. So I think that's about enough about the amp. I am going to change, like I said, I'll change the stuff. And then when it's all said and done, because it's kind of boring to watch, I'll make another video and I will show you exactly what was done and exactly how I biased the amp. There's a way to do it with the 1 ohm resistor. Some guys like it. Some guys complain about it. And it's like, well, it makes it easy. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But I do the most dangerous method, what they consider the most dangerous method, which is the the shunt method. So basically you're measuring current, right? You're measuring amperage. So we'll measure that, and I'll show you how that's done too. Other than that, I think that's all we're going to do to this. Not a lot. I don't like the mod amps anymore, to be honest with you. You know why? Okay. Because if I want this to sound legit, like I would like an amp to sound, I'll just put a pedal in front of it. Like those LPD pedals are great, so they are. This isn't okay. I'm not affiliated with this guy at all. I got to tell you, I'm a Plexi guy. I got stacks of Plexis. This is the best Plexi pedal I've ever used.
Is that the Fender fixer?
Yeah, these are my Fender fixers. So if you play a Fender, you put this in front of it, and it takes care of your amp. So, and this JMP pedal is great. And I bought these. This isn't no sponsored stuff. You know, I'm really nobody in the rock and roll world, right? But I tried a lot of pedals, and I've sold a lot of pedals that I didn't like. These are only two I kept. That's because they do exactly what they're supposed to. They make Fenders sound like Marshalls, which is perfect. Okay. Not the sum, okay? It's a Ford Chevy thing. Some guys love Marshalls, some guys like Fords. I'm sorry. Some guys like Fords, some guys like Chevys. I like Mopars, so I'm on the outside of that box. Anyhow, these are supposed to be cool. I did learn this. I'll tell you this, baby. Fender guitars sound good through Fender amps. Tim and I go back and forth, and we have this saying, and he actually commented it too in parentheses, quotations. It says, "But I'm not a Strat guy." So neither of us claim to be a Strat guy, but we both seem to have Strats. So, but when you play a Strat through a Fender amp, you can easily tell that they are tuned to be together. So like when I play a Strat through a Marshall, it's not so much for me. But they need a little help. But through these, they sound pretty good. You can't deny Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's incredible, right? I mean, that's a great sound. So I want to talk about the pickups then. I'm going to use this laptop, which is closed, and we'll use, because I know if I'm in the area of the amp, it's all visible, right? So I made my 65 pickups. Okay, these are for the copy Strat. And here's one, right, with the cover off. And as you've seen in the last video, I measured the stagger. And then it took a while, but these magnets are to the same length as the original 65, as well as the correct wire, right? They're wound to the spec, and they meet the spec in resistance, as well as the most important reading is the Henrys. At least to me, that's a good indication. I hand beveled the magnets just like Fender did. So how they start out is you get these two pieces. I'm already getting clustered, right? Let's straighten that one out. You get these two pieces, and then you get your magnets, which I'm going to dig out just to show, okay? And these are uncharged. Years ago, I made my own machine to wind pickups. People can buy them now, but they're not. I mean, you could do it on a drill if you wanted to. So anyhow, and then I made my own charging assembly to charge magnets. But they are flat, completely flat on both ends, and that's how I got them for these, and then I hand beveled them the way that Fender would have back in the day. It seemed that the newer bevels, the ones I looked at, fortunately, I'm here at the Guitar Spot in Red Line, Pennsylvania, and they are an authorized Fender dealer. And it's an interesting place because it's a private-owned shop. Chad was just in here with us, the owner. But when all the hooks are full, they have over 400 guitars in here. So I go around and I start measuring and checking out all the Fenders, because I'm not the Fender guru, but the information is here, and I have that 65 here. So I utilized it to give us an idea what we need to do. So I want to show you guys some stuff. And I want to show you inductance. Everybody knows resistance, right? That seems to be the staple. But inductance is where we're looking, right? So here's that P90 that I spoke about. So let's do this. This is an important measurement. Hit the go button. Okay, so they're measured in henries. It's interesting. Two brothers. One of them's name's Farad, and the other one was Henry. And now they've created measurements, then they use their name as the measurement. So this is 6.53 henries. How about that, right? So that's good. So the deal is, here's the magic. I'm going to tell you the magic. The magic is if you can get a low whine pickup with high inductance, you're going to have a very warm sound. Awesome sound. So it's not easy to do, I can tell you that. So 6.54. So if you remember from the last one, and if not, I'm going to give you the rundown. I had these Squire pickups, and then I said that they're not junk, they just got to be reworked. So I rewound this one. So it's got the typical Strat look, right? But I rewound it to the resistance, same DC resistance and wire count as a P90. And here's where it's at. This is going to be something pretty cool. So, yeah, I'm 1 Henry under, but your Henrys can be altered really by magnetic strength. The weaker the magnet, it can generate more Henrys. So right now it has ceramic magnets on it. And I'm going to leave it that way to do the sound test. I have another guitar. We're going to stick these in. But I think this is going to be to be honest with you, baby, this is going to be killer. Because the one that I had played, which this one is now considerably warmer than, I thought sounded great. And that was in Zach's Strat, which I talked about in the last video as well. So anyhow, there's that. So you saw the numbers there as they fluctuate around. And there's a lot, believe it or not, the same amount of wire on here is the same amount of wire on both coils of a humbucker, which is considerable. So let's show you the differences, okay? So here's that Eric Johnson pickup. It has A3 magnets in it. It is supposed to be like a 54. It has the bigger magnets, the either way, 9.5, whatever they are. And it's wound with the form bar coated wiring, which is this. The long and the short is historically or time period correct. Okay, so let's look at his Henrys. So what was the last one? 520, right?
Right.
That one is 2.63, so a considerable difference. Now this has a pretty weak magnets in it. A strong A5 Strat pickup will be somewhere like 1.8, 1.87 Henrys on average. So let's see if that holds true. So and has A3s. A3s are the weakest. So there's A2, 3, 4, 5, on up to 8, I think. But they're not, numerically, it doesn't mean strength value. What is this one? I don't know. Let's find out. These things just started showing up. Two, 3. Okay. I'm not sure what magnets are in that. Who knows? It's just a reference, so to say. I'm not going to show these. I worked hard to get these to that Strat level. I'm not showing them. I'm sorry. It's undercover. And it doesn't necessarily always indicate tone, but it gives you a pretty good idea. There's 4 measurements I like to take to try to decipher a pickup, and these hit it. Now, granted, it took me a few tries. Now, the good part about that 65, they're all relatively the same. So it wasn't like I had to figure out, 3 different pickups. They all read really close to each other. So 2.65. Let's see what that is. Resistant wise. 6.7 is a pretty, believe it or not, that's in the Strat world, that's definitely not vintage, so to say. Like the typical, a friend of mine has, I've talked about this last time. So we have some vintage Strats basically accessible. And the earlier ones with form bar seem to hover around 5.3, 5.3, 5.4, I think was the highest one I seen out of the 57 that I measured, the 60 and the 61. So either way, this would be a pretty hot Strat. Not that it's bad, it's just not vintage correct. And that's okay. Let's see what these are, just for fun. Did I already do one of these? I probably did. Yeah. Anyhow, pick up stuff. So basically, that's pretty much it. But the cool part is, like I said, these are done for that Strat. The pickguard is here. I got tuners for the Strat because it would need them. And these are the Wilkinson. They're like the slotted tuners like this one, that guitar, but they'll be fine. And when you do that, so this is an import, the Strat that we showed last time, the one that's going to be the copy Strat. It's an import, so with that being said, you have to use the 10 millimeter bushings, and they sell them separately. They're not much, but that way the tuner peg isn't flopping around in the hole. So I have them as well. I have the tremolo, I have the switch and all that stuff. So long story short, fellas, if you made it this far, thanks for checking this out. But please stick around because hopefully our videos get better as we move along. But also, this is going to be a pretty cool project, and I'm anxious to get to the end of the road to see, is it actually possible? I know with Les Pauls it really is. I shouldn't say just Les Pauls, but Gibson products. But I haven't dabbled into the Strat world. So, and as I talked about before, it's because there's so many of them out there. You know, everybody makes them, but I don't know what they do. My process is real easy. My R&D is rob and duplicate, which means I have a 65 Strat, so it's not hard for me to figure out what they're supposed to be. Trey has a 57, Steve has a 60 and a 61 and a 69. So I can just measure those, magnetic strength, capacitance, DC resistance, and Henrys, and know that I can recapture those sounds of those pickups for the most part. Now, the interesting part is, and I may have said this already, but Trey's 57 to Steve's 60 and 61, those pickups are relatively the same.
Okay.
So it isn't like the variances are very, very few. And when they installed them too, I got to bring that Simpson meter in here. You got to understand, we didn't have all this digital stuff like we have now. So I have an old Simpson meter. It's an analog meter. You got to look through it straight. There's a mirror there. You line up the zero of the needle. It's cool. This is actually super cool. But that's the best they had. So like Steve's has the warmest pickup, and his 61 is 5.3, and it's in the middle position. Trey's is not like that. His is lower resistance. His measured out like 5.3, and his warmest one's in the neck. So it's interesting, and that doesn't really matter because I'm sure there was a pickup department, and then there was the wiring department, and the wiring department did not go through and measure pickups and say this would sound best here. Now the other interesting part, fellas, is these pickups, I'm pretty sure, were designed when there was still a wound G string. So it's okay. But Fender staggered magnets, their theory was, depending on the distance the pickup was away from the string, as well as the string type, that's why the magnets are different heights. So really the attempt was to balance out the sound across the entire spectrum of the guitar. So the one string should be almost within reason equally as loud as another. Yeah. I'm sure that's the premise. So anyhow, just guitar geekery or nerdery or whatever it is, you know. It's just the fun. It's just the fun of the chase. But other than that, man, I hope everybody's doing well. And here's my question. I think I said I wanted to ask a question. Here's my question for you guys. I'm looking for a good fuzz pedal, not an old fuzz pedal, but what's out there today is my question. What's out there today that would be a good fuzz pedal? Because I do know Strats wake up quite well with a little bit of fuzz pedal on them. So I don't know what a good fuzz pedal is. So I don't want to watch all the crazy videos because they're just trying to take money out of my pocket. So I'd rather ask those that may have it, what's a good fuzz pedal? So, because I like that. I do. I think when you hit a Strat with a fuzz, it actually sounds pretty good. So we got to do that. And something else I want to talk about as well. For one, I want to thank everyone that takes the moment to watch these, because there's so much to watch on YouTube. And for a while there, I actually talked to Chris in Virginia. And I know everybody doesn't know everybody yet, but if you're here, it's because you're the top 1% of what you do, right? But on this channel, that's what it is, because some of the guys that I know that are watching this, that I'm friends with as well, they are the top 1% on what they do. So if you're watching this, then you too are the top 1% of what you do. And that would be pretty awesome, right? So Tim is clearly the top 1% of what he had done in his lifetime. And Chris in Virginia is the same way. He is the top 1%. So I was talking to Chris recently, this week. We talk pretty often because he is, sorry about the image is what it is, right? So, yeah, but the conversations we're having. Chris is like an aficionado on Southern rock, the gear that was used, where it was recorded. It blows my mind, even down to the picks that were used. It's just the guy, I consider myself someone who has a quest for knowledge, but he has a quest for knowledge and history of that knowledge. So it's guys like that, and everybody watching this, I know, has something that I would like to hear or know or something, you know what I mean? So it's all about sharing info. So if you like what you're hearing and seeing, man, stick around, because we're going to find a way to tie all you guys together. We'll do I'd like to do a live chat, to be honest with you. I was told Chris, I said, I think about bagging the idea of YouTube just because there's so much out there. And he actually talked me out of it. He said, you know what, and he is right when I thought about it. There isn't like really, there's probably a few, but there isn't really like the honest guitar channel anymore, to where it's just some guys doing some things. Yeah. Like my favorite amp guy is Stuart, the UK guitar amp guy or whatever. He's awesome because he does what he does and he's legit. He's showing you what he does. And, that's what he does. I mean, it's good. It's honest. There's no paid promotion. There's no free gear involved. And that's what taints a lot of these channels. Now, Andertons I like a lot because, for one, they are a retailer, but for another, they're giving you honest demos because they have all these products on hand. They're not saying one's better than the other. Basically, they're showing one against the other, and you have your, you can make up your mind from there. So I value the information they share. And there's a couple others, but so many of them, these channels have been really skewed or by the promotions and this month, this is the greatest thing you'd ever want to hear and play. Next month, it's something else, So there's no really integrity in those channels anymore.
No, there's not. So
I think I'm definitely about what I'm doing. And, as in it's going to be the honest effort. And so anyhow, so I hope you guys like this kind of stuff. We'll get better as we go, hopefully bigger as we go. And I do want to do live chats because then you could talk to everybody, right? It'd be cool. It would be super cool. So if you guys would like to be interested in that, let me know. I'm hoping we can grow this together because, well, we got a lot to talk about. And there's things I'd like to show you. And you guys, something else. I'm going to finish it up with this as well. So where I went back to saying there's guys on there that drives me nuts. Oh, that's my secret, or I don't want to show you that. They'll show you 80% and leave 20% out, or they'll show you 70% and leave out the important 30%. If you guys come across it and you have a question, I'll tell you anything I know. And I'm not saying I'm the super amp guru, but you know what? None of this information is new. It's all been done. And the guys that try to hoard it and think like they're the savior to technology that was developed in the 20s and 30s and 40s, well, that's not the case. So I will show you, and then I will, after it's done, I'll show you the before and after, and I will show you how I'd like to bias the amps, and I will show you like the wires that have to be removed in this. There was a video I came across because I'm not the Fender guy, and the guy's talking about it, but then he's like, "Well, if you look at this, you should know what I did. I had to take out 2 wires, make sure." But he doesn't tell everybody else what it is. Well, I'm going to tell you everything. There is no secrets, man. It's all good, and the more information to share, the better we all are, right?
Yep.
Okay, leaving it there. My name is Tom. I am the Buzztone, and thanks for checking us out.